Have you ever wondered why school could find time to teach you the War of 1812, the periodic table, and the fact that mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, yet somehow ran out of time before explaining how to keep your life from being financially hijacked? You learned how to solve for X. You learned how to diagram a sentence. You learned how to memorize facts that vanished from your head the moment the exam ended. But when it came to understanding your paycheck, your debt, your savings, your investments, your housing choices, your retirement, and the quiet ways money decides the shape of a human life, the system went strangely silent. That silence has been expensive, very expensive, because when people do not understand money, they do not become neutral. They become vulnerable. They become vulnerable to bad debt, bad products, bad incentives, bad timing, bad advice, and bad habits disguised as normal adulthood. That is why I want to give you, in one sitting, the framework school should have given you in the first place, not a collection of disconnected tips. A system. Because if you do not have a system for money, then every paycheck becomes improvisation, every emergency becomes panic, and every big purchase becomes a moral drama you are not equipped to judge. Let us begin with the only place that makes any sense, where you are now. Most people do not actually know where they stand financially. They know whether they feel stressed, they know whether the bills are getting paid, they know whether there's some money left over at the end of the month or not. But feelings are not a map, and money punishes people who travel without one. There are three numbers I want you to understand before anything else: your net worth, your monthly cash flow, your financial runway. Those three numbers tell you more about your financial life than almost anything else. Net worth is brutally simple. Everything you own minus everything you owe. Your checking accounts, savings, brokerage accounts, retirement accounts, car, home equity, if you have it. Anything truly valuable on one side: credit cards, car notes, student loans, personal loans, mortgage, and whatever other claims exist against your future on the other side. The number left over is your financial scoreboard. Now here is what most people get wrong. They treat net worth like a source of shame or pride instead of a source of clarity. If it is low, they feel embarrassed. If it is decent, they feel safe. Both reactions are sloppy. Your net worth is not a morality test. It is a measurement. Use it the way a pilot uses altitude, not as an emotion. As orientation, the Federal Reserve's latest SCF-based age breakdowns show how varied this picture is. Families younger than 35 have median net worth under $40,000. By ages 35 to 44, the median rises to about $135,000. By 45 to 54, around $247,000. Those are not numbers to worship. They are reference points. They tell you that if you are behind, you are not alone. If you are ahead, you are not finished. Phasite Phaeturn 242,737, Search Zero Phaeturn 617,662 news. Net worth alone is not enough, because a person can look respectable on paper and still be drowning monthly. That is why cash flow matters. Cash flow is what enters your life each month, minus what leaks out. Income minus expenses. Not what you think you spend, not what you hope you spend, what you actually spend. Track it for a month and you will almost certainly learn something humbling. The random Amazon clicks, the quiet subscriptions, the restaurant visits that felt harmless one by one, the groceries, the fuel, the insurance, the debt payments, the 100 little conveniences that become a system of erosion. And here is the cruel beauty of this number. It tells you whether you are moving forward, backward, or standing still. A positive monthly cash flow means you have fuel. A negative one means you are building fragility. 0 means you are living a life with no buffer, no acceleration, and no forgiveness. The last number, your financial runway, may be the most emotionally important of all. If your income disappeared tomorrow, how many months could your liquid savings carry your current life? Not your retirement account, not your home equity, not the fantasy version of your budget, your actual accessible cash divided by your actual monthly expenses. That is runway. A lot of adults live with less runway than a poorly managed startup. That is not a joke. It is a diagnosis. The Federal Reserve's 2025 report on 2024 household wealth being found that 63% of adults said they could cover a $400 emergency with cash or its equivalent. That also means more than a third could not. More importantly, having a cash buffer materially improves financial well-being. Buffer money is not just a stack of dollars. It is the ability to think in full sentences when something goes wrong. Fay-site Fay-turn 511,631 search. 10 Fay-turn 511,631 search. 2 Fay so before you dream about wealth. Begin by measuring the present. That is financial adulthood. Now, once you know where you are, you need goals, but not the kind of goals people usually invent. I want to save more. I want to invest. I want to be debt-free. Those are wishes wearing suits. Useful goals start with your life, not your spreadsheet. What do you actually want your life to look like? Do you want security? Do you want to stop panicking when your car makes a new noise? Do you want the freedom to leave a job you hate? Do you want to own a home someday without strangling your future? Do you want to retire before your body becomes too tired to enjoy the time? Money goals should serve life goals, not the other way around. If what you really want is freedom to leave toxic work, then the first real goal is not a random investment account balance. It is a larger emergency fund and lower fixed expenses. If what you want is a home, then the goal is not vague saving. It is a specific down payment amount, a target credit profile, and a target monthly housing number that your life can actually absorb. If what you want is early retirement, then you need to stop pretending ordinary saving rates will get you there and build a wealth system with much more force behind it. Good goals are specific, measurable, and time-bound, but they also must be emotionally honest. That means no fake goals invented because they sound impressive. No pretending you want a huge house when what you really want is peace. No pretending you need a luxury vehicle when what you really want is status. No pretending you want passive income when what you really want is simply to stop being afraid. Once the life goal is honest, the money plan gets simpler. Now we have to talk about budgeting, which is one of the most abused words in personal finance. People hear budget and picture punishment, deprivation spreadsheets, a joyless monk counting grocery receipts under fluorescent light. That is why most budgets fail. A good budget is not a restriction plan. It is a permission system. It tells your money where it may go without accidentally sabotaging your future. The point is not to spend as little as possible. The point is to spend intentionally. There are 1,000 budgeting systems people can argue over forever, but the truth is simpler. Any budget that is not grounded in your actual behavior will fail. Any budget that leaves no room for enjoyment will fail. Any budget built on fantasy prices instead of real ones will fail. Start with the simple question: where does your money go now? Then decide what you want it to do instead. Maybe the 50 divided by 30 divided by 20 framework helps you because it is simple. Maybe 0. Base budgeting helps because you need tighter control. Maybe envelope style category limits help because your spending gets emotional. It matters less which method you choose than whether you can live inside it for years. That is the standard, not elegance. Durability. Now we come to the part nobody likes to discuss until life forces it onto the table. Saving, specifically, emergency saving. Most people do not realize this, but an emergency fund is not about being responsible. It is about preventing future stupidity under pressure. Without one, a flat tire becomes a credit card balance. A dental problem becomes a personal loan. A layoff becomes a financial trauma. A broken appliance becomes a reason to raid retirement money. A lack of savings does not merely create inconvenience. It creates bad decisions. This is why I hate the way people romanticize investing while ignoring their lack of cash buffer. If you do not have emergency money, then your investments are one piece of bad luck away from forced liquidation. That is not wealth building. That is pretending 3 to 6 months of expenses is the classic advice. And it remains directionally sound, though your real target depends on how fragile or stable your life is. A dual-income household with stable careers can survive with less than a freelancer in a volatile field. A person with health issues needs more than a healthy single 20-something renting a room. But the exact number should not stop you from starting. The first 1,000 matters, then 2,000, then 1 month of expenses, then 3, then 6. If your life calls for it, high-yield savings accounts and money market accounts are excellent tools for this because emergency money should be accessible and boring. Not exciting, not maximized, not subject to market drama. Your emergency fund is not supposed to impress you. It is supposed to protect you. Now let us move to debt, and let me be direct. Not all debt is equally evil, but high-interest consumer debt is financial poison. Credit card debt is the clearest example. The average American carries around $6,700 in credit card debt, and many households carry far more. If you are paying 20% interest while trying to earn 8% in the market, you are not investing. You are standing in a storm with an umbrella full of holes. Fay-site, Fay-turn 617,662 search 7, Fay-turn 617,662 search 15 Fay. There is no point discussing portfolio theory. If Visa is quietly taking a guaranteed supernormal return from your life every month, kill that debt. That is the answer. Some people like the avalanche method because math should matter, highest interest first. Some prefer the snowball method because psychology matters too. Smallest balance first to build momentum. Fine. Use the one you will actually finish. But finish, and while you are at it, figure out why the debt appeared in the first place. That matters more than the repayment spreadsheet. Was it lifestyle inflation, emotional spending, lack of savings, a car you should not have financed, a habit of saying yes to the present and billing the future? If you do not fix the pattern, the balances come back wearing different clothes. Student loans deserve special handling because they are not all the same. Federal loans have options: income, driven repayment, forgiveness tracks, protections. Private loans tend to be harsher. Car loans are their own trap because a car is a depreciating tool, not an appreciating asset. And yet America sells them like personality contracts. The average new car payment is still in the mid-$700s. That is not transportation. That is life architecture. Fay-site, Fay-turn 511,631 search. 3 Fay-turn 511,631 search. 15 Fay once you have cash flow, an emergency base, and debt under control. Then and only then should investing become your major offensive tool. Now, investing is where people either get lazy or theatrical. The lazy person says, "I do not understand it," and keeps everything in cash forever while inflation does the quiet work of theft. The theatrical person thinks he must become a stock picker, a macro prophet, or a crypto mystic to build wealth. Both are wrong. Investing is simply this: putting money into productive assets that can grow faster than inflation over long periods of time. That is it. Stocks represent ownership in businesses. Bonds represent loans to companies or governments. Real estate is real estate. Index funds are baskets of many businesses packaged for simplicity and low cost. For most people, the intelligent path is almost absurdly boring. Low-cost broad index funds. Automatic monthly contributions decades, that is the system. The S&P 500 has historically compounded around 10% nominally over very long periods, though I prefer more conservative planning assumptions for life design. The exact number matters less than the principle. Productive assets outperform idle cash over long horizons, and time multiplies the difference. Fay-site, Fay-turn 617,662 search 4 Fay-turn 579,540 search 0 Fay. Compounding is real, but it is often taught badly. People think it is magic. It is not magic. It is delayed consequences. A 25-year-old investing modestly but consistently can very plausibly outrun a much older, higher earner who waits too long to begin. Time is the first multiplier, amount is only the second. The simplest version of intelligent investing looks like this. Get the full employer match in your retirement plan if one exists. That is free money. Then use tax-advantaged accounts like IRAs and HSAs where appropriate. Then fund taxable accounts for additional flexibility. Use target date funds if you want simplicity. Use total market or S&P 500 index funds if you want control with low complexity. Do not mistake entertainment for strategy. That is how most people lose. Now we need to talk about homes and cars because these are where financial literacy either becomes real or gets mugged in the driveway. A home can build wealth. It can also bury you. Buying is not always superior to renting. Renting is not always throwing money away. Those slogans are too stupid for adult life. What matters is the math down payment. Mortgage rate, taxes, insurance, maintenance, time horizon, opportunity cost. If you buy too much house, the house does not make you wealthy. It makes you obedient. It turns you into a person who cannot save, cannot invest, cannot walk away from bad jobs, cannot tolerate income disruption, and calls the whole arrangement maturity. That is not maturity. That is house poverty with better branding. Renting, by contrast, can be perfectly rational if the ownership numbers are abusive and the flexibility matters. A home is a tool first, then maybe an asset. It should not be a social trophy financed by denial. Cars are even worse because the depreciation is faster and the status theater louder. A big payment on a car is not just a payment, it is retirement money vaporized with heated seats. Reliable used transportation usually wins the math battle by a landslide. If the monthly payment is what makes the car affordable, then the car is often already too expensive. This is where lifestyle discipline becomes real. You can drive your future or you can finance your image. Very few people get to do both. Finally, let us talk about retirement, because this is the story all the other stories are secretly serving. Retirement is not really about old age. It is about optionality. It is about how much of your future belongs to you instead of employers, markets, emergencies, and fear. Too many people save for retirement as if they are contributing to a civic ritual, rather than building a real financial engine. The median retirement balance remains far too low. Social Security remains meaningful but insufficient by itself. And longevity means you may need to fund 20 to 30 years or more once earned income stops. The average retired worker benefit is around $2,071 a month in 2026. Helpful? Yes. Sufficient on its own for most people? No. Faycite Fayturn 242,737 search. One Fayturn 242,737 search. 4 Fay. If you want a dignified retirement, you need personal capital. That means a system. Automatic contributions, rising savings rates over time, low fees, no panic selling, no serial resets, no pretending that one lucky stock will save years of underfunding. This is where financial literacy becomes emotional literacy. Can you tolerate boredom? Can you tolerate not looking rich while you get rich? Can you tolerate not touching the portfolio during ugly years? Can you tolerate building slowly while everyone else posts highlight reels? Because wealth is rarely built through dramatic genius. It is usually built through boring competence repeated so long that compounding finally becomes visible. Now, let me tie this together. Because information without a system is just another form of overwhelm. Know your net worth. Know your cash flow. Know your runway. Set goals based on the life you want, not the numbers that sound impressive. Use a budget that matches reality. Build an emergency fund that protects your judgment. Destroy high-interest debt. Invest automatically in simple low-cost assets. Treat houses and cars as math problems first, and identity projects. Never build retirement capital, because future freedom will not self-fund. And automate as much of the entire process as you possibly can. That last part matters more than people think, because automation closes the gap between knowing and doing. Willpower is unreliable. Systems are better. The truth is, you do not need one more money. Quote, you do not need another influencer screaming at you about passive income. You do not need a magic stock or a secret hack. You need a framework that can survive ordinary life. That is what school should have taught you. And now that you have it, the next part is simple, though not easy. Use it.